Okay, so I'll do it in French and in English just in case. So the thing with flowers when you're doing them in painting is that if you're going to, like, there's two ways to do flowers. You either do them really, really meticulously and really detailed, or you do them kind of like this, kind of abstract, where if you look at them really, really close, they just look like little, you can tell that they're not very detailed, but from far, they're really pretty, Well, I mean, not necessarily from far, but like not with your face right up here. So your flowers are able to be achieved without doing too much detail by doing them a little bit abstract. So that's the way that we're going to go today. And then if ever you ladies want to go back and do more detail on your flowers afterwards, that's your prerogative, but you have a good base here, and I'll show you how to sort of plant the flowers, pun intended, on the canvas, okay? Fait que quand on fait des fleurs sur une toile, il y a vraiment deux façons de les faire. La première façon qu'on peut les faire, c'est vraiment détaillé, mais ça prend vraiment beaucoup de temps. Puis l'autre façon de le faire, c'est un petit peu plus abstrait. Fait que nous, aujourd'hui, on va les faire plus abstrait. Puis si jamais vous voulez retourner après puis rajouter plus de détails, c'est votre choix, mais je vais vous montrer comment planter les fleurs sur la toile, puis les deux façons qu'on peut les faire. So, ici, on peut voir que les fleurs sont plus foncées, puis le ciel est plus pâle. Ici, c'est l'inverse. Les fleurs sont plus pâles, puis le ciel est plus foncé. Fait que il faut choisir la façon que tu veux le faire. Si c'est foncé fleur ou foncé ciel, avant qu'on commence. Fait qu'on va commencer la première étape. You're gonna take for the first step your large brush, and we're gonna mix ourselves like a bluey green. And the reason why we're gonna do a bluey green is because afterwards we're gonna use like a real green with the blades of grass on top, and you want the grass to show on top of the base. So si on mélange un vert, puis on veut un vert bleu, on va mettre bleu et jaune ensemble, et on va juste mettre plus de bleu. So you're gonna do more blue than yellow. And you'll see, you can play around with the color. The bottom half of this painting is lots of greens, so it'll be a good exercise in mixing different colors, in mixing different shades of green. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna start on the right side, just a few inches up from the bottom, around there. And you're gonna kind of make yourself a little hilly base. Juste à peu près comme ça. On ne veut pas monter trop haut sur la toile, parce que si on monte trop haut, nos fleurs vont finir par, les tops des fleurs vont finir par être ici, et c'est trop haut. On veut que nos fleurs, que les têtes des fleurs soient environ ici. Fait qu'on veut que le terre soit à peu près là. Fait que moi, je vous dirais que le maximum qu'on monte, c'est genre 3-4 pouces. So you don't want to go too high up with your base, because if you do, your flower heads are going to end up at the top of your canvas, and you don't want that. You want the flower heads to end up like 2/3 of the way up the canvas type thing. So the maximum that your ground should go up is about 3-4 inches. And we got word that the Legion's going to be opening on June 11th, right? So that means that we'll be able to do some outdoor classes in person this summer. I'm looking at booking one in July and one in August and one in September for like an outdoor painting class. So that'll be announced in the coming weeks. Hi, Joanne Guthrie. She just joined us.
Where am I?
Hi.
Hi. I just got in.
That's okay. So we're doing flowers today.
Okay.
See here. And are you going to paint or are you just going to watch
I
a bit?
think I might just watch and I'll paint it later. I'm not organized.
Right. Okay. So what we had said was the idea was that you have to decide whether you want to do a light sky with darker flowers or a darker sky with light flowers. And then we just started the first step, which was to do the ground. So the idea with the ground is that you don't want to go too high up. So you want to start on the right hand side and have it swoop down in the middle and then back up about, maximum 3-4 inches, let's say.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
No problem. This is recording already, so it'll be sent out after.
Okay, how many more classes do we have?
We have one more class online so far booked on I guess it's around the 14th. I think it's the 15th. Hold on.
Do you, are you going to get the Legion like last year?
Yeah. So one more class online so far. And then I was just saying that because the Legion is opening on June 11th, I already spoke to Liz and I'm going to be booking a couple of outdoor painting classes. I'm looking for a date in July, one in August and one in September so far.
Okay, cool. I love your tattoo.
Thanks. But those outdoor events, those won't be subsidized on the from the grant that they got from Government Canada. So that would be a paid event, just to let you know. But we're also going to be starting on the government grant an art history class that I'm doing on Renaissance, Baroque, and Rococo. That's going to be in August.
And that's going to be online? That's through the grant?
That's going to be online. We might do it actually, like for people who want to come in person, we might do it at the Legion and still broadcast, like do it through Zoom as well. So there's the option to come in person or not.
I think something like that would be really fun in person and you can interact and share.
Well, yeah, and what Liz had asked me if we opened up, if we could do it in person because she wanted to do like wine and cheese type thing and have the class. So.
Or we'll really communicate then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll let you get back. I'll go on you. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks. Donc, pour la prochaine étape, là, c'est où on décide comment qu'on veut faire le ciel. Si on veut le faire foncé ou si on veut le faire pâle. Can I just get a show of hands? Maybe who wants to do the sky light? Okay. Okay. Perfect. So the rest of you are doing the sky dark, I guess. So maybe I'll do, well, I'll show you which way it goes. So if you're going to start your sky dark, then you're going to go light at the bottom. And if you're going to do your sky light, then you're going to go dark at the bottom. So I'm going to demonstrate doing the sky light. So for light, you're going to want to do a light blue at the bottom. So you're going to mix some blue and some white. OK? Si on va faire le ciel pâle, on va commencer avec du bleu en bas, comme on voit ici. Puis si on fait le ciel foncé, on va commencer avec du rose en bas. Puis quand on applique les couleurs pour le ciel, là, on veut qu'il y a comme une arche. Donc, ça va descendre dans le milieu, puis ça va monter des deux côtés. Puis la raison pourquoi on fait cela, c'est parce qu'on veut, avec le soleil, que ça paraît que le ciel, comme ça fait le tour du soleil. So when you apply your paint, you're going to want to kind of do it in like an upside down arc, so like in a swooping fashion. where it comes up on the sides and goes down in the middle. And the reason why we're doing that is because we want it to look like with the sun, like the colors of the sky are sort of swirling around the sun. So I'll finish doing the blue here. And it's okay if you're, where your blue meets your green, if they mix together a little bit when you overlap because the paint's wet, that's totally fine. You're gonna go about the same thickness, maybe a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker than you did with the grass. So as you can see here, I have about, 4 inches all the way across of blue. Puis si c'est pour faire le ciel foncé, ça ici que j'ai fait en bleu, ça devrait être rose. Après ça, on peut nettoyer le gros pinceau. After you finish that, you can wash your big brush.
Did you say that if you're doing the sky dark, it should be rose, the blue?
You can see here that if you're doing the sky dark, you start with a lighter color on, whoops, my paint's still wet. You start with a lighter color on the bottom, and then you go darker up top. Whereas if you're doing the light sky, you start with a darker color on the bottom, and then you get progressively light. The idea is that you want the darkest band, like if you're doing a dark sky, you want the darkest band to be where the majority of your flower heads are going to end up. And if you're doing a light sky, you want the opposite. You want it to be lightest where most of your flower heads are going to be, because you want, whichever one you're doing, you want a big contrast between the light and the dark.
Okay. Thank you.
Joël Pépin, si tu es là, peux-tu juste me faire signe pour que je sache si je devrais continuer de faire en français ou non?
Je suis là.
OK, parfait. Okay, has everybody got their first section?
Yes.
Tout le monde dans la première section?
Oui.
Donc, là, pour la deuxième section, on va aller encore avec le gros pinceau. Puis, si vous avez fait le bleu ici, comme on peut voir ici, là, ça va être rose. So, on mélange du blanc et du rouge ensemble pour avoir une rose pâle. Puis si on fait l'inverse, si on fait un ciel foncé, là, c'est quand on va faire notre bleu. Fait que c'est du bleu avec du blanc. Pas beaucoup de blanc parce qu'on veut pas que le bleu soit trop pâle. Okay, so now that I've got my blue down, I'm going to transition to pink. So just like we do with all of our skies when we're doing, you know, sunsets or skies that we have layered colors, the idea is that you don't want there to be hard lines in between two colors. So you want to try and blend one color into the next, which is fine with this because it'll end up looking a little bit purple, like a purpley pink, but that's great. And again, we want it swooping upwards on the sides and about 3-4 inches thick. Quand on applique les couleurs, on veut quand même, comme quand on fait tous nos ciels, quand on fait des couchers de soleil ou nos ciels avec plusieurs couleurs, on veut qu'il n'y a pas de ligne dure entre les deux couleurs. Fait qu'on veut essayer de mélanger, de blender les couleurs ensemble. Fait qu'on peut voir qu'il y a comme une transition entre les deux couleurs. Puis si jamais on trouve qu'il y a une ligne forte, là, on peut juste rajouter du blanc ou un petit peu plus de couleur, puis travailler la ligne un petit peu pour essayer de comme le défaire un peu. So if you find that when you put on your paint that you still do have a hard line, I usually find that by adding some extra paint on top and just working the line back and forth, that the line sort of disappears if you work at it a little bit. Okay, so if everybody, once they do that step, if you want to show me your skies, just so I can tell you whether you're on the right track or if you need to adjust color a bit.
Est-ce que je peux faire juste un ciel bleu?
Si tu veux faire juste un ciel bleu, oui. Je pense que c'est la même chose que Jolene est en train de faire. Tu vois?
OK.
Si on veut faire un ciel plutôt monochromatique, un ciel de 1 couleur, ça va juste être de faire quand même des couches de bleu différents. Fait qu'on veut pas avoir un ciel qui est juste le même couleur bleu de bas en haut.
OK.
On veut faire comme very nice, Astrid. Pretty good. So the idea is that if you're doing like a monochromatic, if you're doing just a blue sky, you want to still layer the
Ça?
Oui, c'est bien. Micheline, est-ce que tu vas faire des fleurs pâles ou des fleurs plus foncées?
Je vais faire les deux.
Oh, okay. You see, so this is good. So you see different options of what we can do and you make it your own, okay? C'est bien parce que, tu sais, Micheline puis Jolene, ils sont en train de changer les directives un peu, mais c'est parfait. C'est la raison pourquoi je voulais vous donner des choix, puis je voulais vous donner des exemples différents pour que vous serez capable de prendre les directives puis de les faire comme vous voulez.
Okay.
So, you know, this is like is it our second or third
This is the
round of
third.
session?
Troisième.
No, I know this is our third class in this session, but I can't, this is my third time, this is my third like block of classes. So some
Okay.
people have been following along the entire time. So it's nice to have a progression of going from really step to step to being able to go off on your own a little bit more autonomously. So I'm trying to give a step-by-step, but with options as well, you know? So it's exciting to see how everybody's paintings end up different. Okay, so now for those of you who are doing the different color skies, so we went with blue and then we went with pink. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back into light blue, but an even lighter blue than we had before. So the light blue that you had, if you still have some mix, just add a little bit more white to it. And if you're mixing a new blue, just keep in mind that you're putting even more white in this time. OK? Pour ceux qui vont faire le ciel pâle, là, on a fait du bleu, on a fait du rose, puis là, on va retourner dans du bleu, mais du bleu encore plus pâle que c'était avant. Fait que si vous avez encore, il vous reste encore du bleu de la dernière couche, là, c'est juste de rajouter du blanc là-dedans. Sinon, puis si vous avez besoin de faire un nouveau bleu, cette fois-ci, ça va juste être de rajouter plus de blanc quand vous faites votre couleur. Si on fait un ciel foncé, if we're doing a dark sky, what you're going to do now is you're going to do purple. So you're going to mix your pink and your blue together that you had done before to give yourselves a purple color, and that's going to be your next layer of paint. So moi, j'ai besoin de me faire un nouveau bleu. I need to do a lighter blue. And what you can do if you're mixing a new blue and you're testing it to make sure that it's lighter than the other one, is once you mix it, just take your paintbrush and dab it on the other color to see how much of a difference there is. So you see now, by doing that, I can tell that, okay, good, this blue is quite a bit lighter than my other blue was. So I can just kind of blend that in with my finger or with a paper towel or whatever. And then I can go ahead with my blue. Okay, so une façon de voir si votre deuxième bleu est assez pâle, s'il y a assez de différence entre le premier bleu puis le deuxième bleu. Quand vous faites votre couleur, juste mets une petite tache sur le côté pour voir, OK, est-ce que c'est assez pâle? Puis dans mon cas, oui, c'est assez pâle. Je vois beaucoup de différence entre les deux couleurs. Mais quand vous faites votre tâche, si vous ne voyez pas vraiment une différence, il faut encore rajouter du blanc avant de faire la prochaine couche. OK. So now, because I was talking so much, my pink dried. So I'm going to have to put more color on and work my line so that I don't have a hard line between my two colors. And as you go up, the bigger the arc becomes. You see now in this layer, my arc, my two sides go all the way up to my corners pretty much. See that here? Cette couleur, la troisième couche, quand on fait c'est comme un U, une lettre U qu'on va faire, parce que vraiment le couleur va venir comme jusque les coins de la toile. Puis, je vais retourner dans ma rose, puis je vais travailler ma ligne un peu pour ne pas avoir une ligne dure entre mon bleu pâle puis le rose. Here we go. Now, if ever you get to this point and you're going, okay, no, my sky is too light or my sky is too dark, now is the time that if you need your sky to be lighter, while your paint is still wet here, just take some white and add in some white all across the canvas if you need it to become lighter. And if you feel like your sky is not as dark as you want it to be, now would be some time to take the colors that you have already done. And like, let's say you feel that your pink isn't dark enough. Well, add some red straight onto the canvas, or you feel that your blue isn't dark enough, add some blue straight onto the canvas, okay? Là, c'est le temps. Si vous trouvez que, oh non, je veux que mon ciel soit plus pâle, là, pendant que la peinture est encore fraîche, est encore mouillée, on va prendre du blanc, puis on va le rajouter direct sur la toile pour amener le ciel, que ça soit plus pâle. Puis en même temps, si vous trouvez que votre ciel n'est pas assez foncé, puis vous voulez que ça soit plus foncé, si vous avez fait du bleu, puis vous trouvez, oh non, le bleu n'est pas assez foncé, prends du bleu, puis rajoutez-le direct sur la toile, ou si le rose n'est pas assez foncé, prendre du rouge puis rajoutez-les direct sur la toile. C'est le temps de le faire maintenant parce qu'on veut que le ciel a assez de temps pour sécher avant qu'on fait les fleurs par-dessus. Okay. Margaret is Peggy, right? It's Peggy? Peggy, yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure. In my head, I'm going, Maggie or Peggy? Maggie? Yeah, Peggy. So will any of you be heading to the Legion on when they open on the 11th or soon after? Or do you, I don't even know if, I mean, I've seen Ashford at the Legion before, but I don't know if I've seen any of the rest of you.
I sometimes go to events at the Legion, but I won't be going for a while because I'm going back and forth from Montreal.
Oh, okay.
So when I'm up there, I won't go anywhere until Montreal has also.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly.
I stay away.
Yeah, I know. We have tended to stay away as well because, but we might go. Do you go?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, I go.
You go to the Legion?
My dad goes a lot. And
What's your dad's name?
Dave McCarthy?
Steve?
Dave McCarthy?
Oh, Dave McCarthy.
Yeah.
Okay. We haven't been for quite a while, actually. We'll have to try and go once this whole thing we get comfortable being,
Yeah. That was really, the Legion is like my dad's kind of only source of socializing because he lives on Fawn Lake year round and he lives alone. So the Legion was like he goes and does his groceries or whatever in Huberto. So the Legion was like a place for him to stop in, have a beer, chat with some people, because if not, he doesn't see very many people when it's off season. Like in the summer, he lives right down by the beach at Fawn Lake, so he sees a ton of people, but in off season, it can be very secluded. And the Legion is, because it's in Arundel, it's the halfway point for me and him. So that would often be a place where we would meet. And my daughter's been going to the Legion since she was in a little baby carrier, and she goes every day there. And it's
we
really
must have seen you there. But is it not your parents that bought the house there right in the middle of Arundel?
my mom. So
your mom,
my parents
okay.
were split when I was very, very little, but I mean, still very amicable. But but now that my mom will be up there as of July 2, it'll be I'm sure that she'll go too, because she loves to play cards, and I know they have a night where they play cards there. And my mom's Anglo too, and I find like there's an Anglo population that goes to the Legion too. So I think that'll be a good source for her to make some friends in the area.
And what is her name then, your mom?
Diana.
Diana.
Tomiuk. Tomiuk.
Miek. Okay. Because I know a friend of mine lives right across the street from her eventually. The Howards are just across the street.
Is that the White House that's far back, right beside the school?
Yeah, well, there's two, like it's number one, I think it's number one. And it's just Brenda and Richard Howard. It's just facing the road, and then right next to that road that goes into the school.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure they'd love to meet her. I mean, I'm sure she'd love to meet them.
Yeah, well, I'm sure both ways.
Okay, so everybody, now we're up to where we're going to do our sun. Okay, là on est rendu où on va placer le soleil. il va avoir, tu sais, comme il y a quand même une grosse demi-cercle ici. On va pas faire le jaune du ciel jusque où ça touche le bleu. On va le faire plus petit, puis après ça, on va faire un couleur qui les amène ensemble. So now we're going to do the sun, but you know, this is quite a big space. We're not going to bring the yellow all the way out to here. We're going to bring it about to here, and then we're going to use a color to kind of bring the sun and the rest of the sky together, which in both cases actually we'll be using white. So for your sun, you're going to take for this one, you can take either your small brush or your big brush, whichever you feel more comfortable with. I'm going to take my big brush, and you're going to mix some yellow and some white together. Là, pour le ciel foncé, parce que pour le soleil, on va mélanger du blanc et du jaune ensemble. Pour le ciel foncé, je vous suggère de mélanger juste un peu de blanc avec le jaune. Puis pour le ciel pâle, on fait plus de blanc dans le jaune. On peut voir ici, il y a une différence dans la couleur du ciel. Il y a aussi une différence dans la grandeur, la couleur du soleil, je m'excuse. On peut voir, il y a aussi une différence dans la grandeur du soleil. Fait que, si vous allez faire un petit soleil, peut-être prendre le petit pinceau. Si vous voulez faire un gros soleil, peut-être prendre le grand pinceau. So I'm going to do my sun pretty big. I'm going to go like that. It's kind of like a horseshoe. C'est comme un fer à cheval un peu. Et on le remplit avec le jaune. C'est mieux de commencer plus petit puis de l'agrandir que de le faire super. Parce que, tu sais, quand on va faire le premier arche, là, c'est sûr que ça va pas être complètement parfait comme ligne. Fait que si on le fait un petit peu plus petit au début, c'est plus facile de l'améliorer en le faisant un petit peu plus gros, tandis que si on commence plus gros, c'est plus difficile de le rapetisser si on n'a pas une bonne ligne. Puis je vais vous donner la prochaine étape tout de suite, juste parce que je veux pas que la peinture sèche. So I'm going to give you the next step right away, just because I don't want the paint to dry. So now I'm going to take white. And I'm going to blend the edge of my yellow in with the white. So that there's kind of less of a hard line with the edge of the sun. And now, because my blue is already dry, I'm going to go back into my light blue to blend it in with the yellow. Oh, sorry, to blend it in with the white. So you want your sun, obviously, to be yellow, and then you want there to kind of be a white or light aura around it. Puis même chose, si on fait le ciel foncé, on veut quand même qu'il y ait un petit peu de blanc autour du soleil. Juste pour faire semblant que le soleil est en train de briller d'une façon ou l'autre, même si c'est un ciel plus foncé. OK, une fois que vous avez complété ça, vous pouvez me montrer votre ciel, juste pour voir si vous avez bien fait. Ben, je suis sûre que vous avez bien fait, mais si vous voulez que je donne un commentaire ou si vous avez une question. Very nice, Jolene. I would just say to try and like where I can see where your white went over your dark of your sky, right? So there I would say to maybe take a little bit of the purple that you did and take a little bit of the white that you did and just try and make a little bit of a transition of light purple in between the dark purple and the white. Now, another thing just to remember for those of you who are doing dark skies is that it's more difficult to apply light color on top of dark color. So, and because this class is only 2 hours long and there's only so much that we can do inside of this class, what you might feel afterwards if you're doing, let's say, white flowers on top of dark purple or dark blue, you might find that once it dries, because colors always dry, like white will always dry lighter, or it'll fade into the canvas a little bit. So you might feel that after it's dry, you want to go back and do another layer of white on top just to make the white pop a little bit more over the dark color. So just something to keep in mind. OK, juste une chose à penser. Les couleurs foncées, yeah, very good, Astrid. Les couleurs foncées, c'est difficile des fois de mettre du couleur pâle par-dessus les couleurs foncées, juste parce que les couleurs foncées sont fortes. Fait que si, mettons, vous êtes en train de faire des fleurs blancs par-dessus un bleu foncé ou un mauve foncé, ça se peut que vous trouvez, une fois que c'est sèche, qu'il va falloir remettre une autre couche de blanc par-dessus. Puis, tu sais, ça se peut que c'est après le cours aujourd'hui parce qu'on va seulement avoir du temps de faire une couche de blanc sur la toile. Mais juste, tu sais, une fois que c'est sèche, de regarder, voir si ça serait mieux de rajouter une autre couche de blanc pour que les couleurs, pour que le blanc paraît puis pop un petit peu plus par-dessus les couleurs foncées. I have a fly in my studio as I'm teaching. It keeps landing on my computer and distracting me.
Better than it landing on the painting.
Yes, exactly. Would make for some live art if it got stuck on my wet paint.
The wing marks.
Yeah, exactly. OK. Joanne Papin, est-ce que ça va bien? Est-ce que tu es en train de peinturer aujourd'hui ou juste d'écouter pour après? Non, il n'est plus là. Okay.
Es-tu là?
Oui, Micheline, super belle. Fait que tu voudrais pas faire un soleil, c'est ça?
Non.
Est-ce que tu veux peut-être rajouter c'est pour toi, mais juste une suggestion, ça pourrait être nice de rajouter une coupe de nuages en jamais septembre.
J'en ai fait, mais ils sont très pâles.
OK, bien, encore une fois, parce que... Ah oui, OK, je les vois un peu. Peut-être de juste rajouter une autre petite couche de blanc par-dessus pour être capable de les voir un petit peu mieux. Oh, if you guys want to put yourself back on mute so I show up as the focus, that'll be easier for everybody to see. So Michelin and Astrid, you're both still not on mute, if you don't mind.
Sorry.
Sorry, no, it's okay. Thank you. Okay, so our skies are done now. Now is going to be the time to do our flower stems. So you're going to want to wash your large brush and put it on the side, because we're pretty much done with our big brush now. Now it's time to do our details of our painting, because we have our background and our base done. So what you're going to do is you're going to go and make yourself a green. Now, if you have a light sky, you can make your green a little bit lighter. If you have a dark sky, you're going to want to make your green quite dark so that the stems show up on top of your darker background. I personally like the idea of the dark stems for the flowers. I'm going to go darker with my stems. And then when I add in my grass after, I'm going to go lighter with my grass. OK, so on va faire les tiges des fleurs. Il faut penser que si vous avez fait un fond pâle, on peut faire un vert pâle pour les tiges des fleurs. Mais si votre ciel est plus foncé, il faut vraiment faire une tige plus foncée pour que ça paraisse par-dessus le ciel foncé aussi. Moi, j'aime l'idée de faire des tiges plus foncées, puis je vais faire mon gazon, mon verdure plus pâle après. Fait que je vais faire des tiges avec plus de bleu dedans, puis après ça, je vais rajouter plus un vert plus gazon pour le gazon autour. So, on veut que les tiges montent à peu près jusqu'au deuxième couche de couleur, okay? You want your stems to come up basically to the second patch of color that we did. So you can have some shorter and you can have some taller than that, but like, let's say that that's sort of your middle ground. You can see that in both the examples here, I don't have all my flowers at one level. You want it to look a little bit more natural, and it'll look more natural by doing that, by sort of having different levels of flower heads, okay? On peut voir ici que je n'ai pas fait toutes mes fleurs qui terminent en même dans une ligne. J'en ai fait un peu qui sont plus hauts, qui sont plus bas. Ça le fait paraître un petit peu plus naturel d'avoir des fleurs à des différents niveaux. So I'm going to start my flowers. It's kind of like if you're doing sort of like tree trunks, you know? And the grass is gonna sort of sway, like it'll have more movement, but you want your flower stems to be straight. Okay, pour le gazon, quand on le rajoute après, là, on va jouer avec du mouvement dans le gazon. Ils vont comme pencher d'un côté ou de l'autre. Mais on veut que les tiges des fleurs soient plus droits parce que ça va montrer la différence entre les deux. So now I'm doing my long flowers. I'm going to add in a few short ones, but they might get covered up. Like they might get lost a little bit when I add the grass in, so we might have to sort of go over them again afterwards. Okay, je vais rajouter une coupe de petites fleurs ici, mais ça se peut que je les perds un peu une fois que je fais mon gazon. Fait que je vais les placer, puis je vais essayer de me souvenir où je les ai mis. Puis si jamais je les perds pendant que je fais de mon gazon, je vais juste comme aller les retrouver puis les refaire encore après. OK, fait que ça donne à peu près comme ça. So, kind of looks like that. You guys want to show me your flowers, your stems? Nice. Very nice, John. Very nice, Astrid. It's good the way that you've done them, the two of you, you know, at different levels. It makes it look more natural. So now, while we're waiting to do the next step, everybody should now kind of decide what color they want to do their flowers, right? So if you're going to do your flowers, if you have a light sky and you're going to do your flowers darker, you could do them like a purple. You could do them sort of a red orange. You could do them blue. You could do them, what else? What other color could we do? You wouldn't really want to do them. I mean, I guess you could do them green, but there aren't really green flowers. So I think you're sort of sticking between red, orange, pink, purple, blue, right? And if you're doing your flowers light, then you can still do purple, blue, pink, just with a lot of white in it. So it's like a pastel colored flower, or you can go for a straight up white flower or a light yellow one as well. You just have to remember that whatever color you're doing on top of a dark sky, you have to put a lot of white in with the color if you want to do a color. OK, fait que là, c'est le temps de décider quelle couleur on veut faire pour les fleurs. Si vous avez un ciel pâle, on a le choix entre des fleurs rouges, roses, orange, bleu, mauve, peut-être jaune. Puis si on fait des fleurs par-dessus un ciel foncé, on a à peu près les mêmes options, mais c'est juste qu'il faut rajouter vraiment beaucoup de blanc avec le couleur pour que c'est un couleur comme pastel. Puis on a aussi le choix de juste faire des fleurs blancs tout court. Fait que on peut aussi faire un mélange de couleurs. Tu sais, on peut faire un petit champ de fleurs sauvages, si on veut. Fait que c'est à vous de décider quelle couleur qu'on veut faire. Fait que si ça va être une couleur, on peut le mélanger maintenant. Si on va faire plusieurs couleurs, on peut les mélanger maintenant. C'est pas exactement la prochaine étape, mais juste pour les avoir faites, si vous avez déjà fini de faire vos tiges de fleurs, vous pouvez commencer à les mélanger, à les préparer. But for the next step, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding in the grass. So what I like to do for my grass is I like to have more than one color of grass. So I'll have, you know, grass that's really light green that has it's basically yellow with just a little bit of blue in it. And then I'll do like a medium colored green. And then I also have my very dark green that I used for my flower stems. So I'm going to kind of go back and forth in between those few greens to add in my grass. And the way that I'm going to do the grass is that you want to kind of avoid, if you just want to look here, you want to kind of avoid the grass going too straight up. You want to kind of have it play in between your flower stems a little bit. So, you know, you can do it sort of back and forth, or you can kind of choose that, oh, well, it's windy that day, so all my grass is going to be going in kind of one direction, you know? But you can really just be kind of wild with it. If you look, you see I have it going in all different directions. OK? Fait que là, c'est le temps, on va faire le gazon. Pour le gazon, qu'est-ce que moi j'aime faire? C'est j'aime faire, mettons, 3 verts différents. Fait que je vais faire comme, je vais prendre du jaune, puis je vais vraiment juste rajouter un tout petit peu de bleu pour avoir un vert pâle. Je vais faire un vert médium, tu sais, moitié-moitié. Puis, j'ai aussi mon vert que j'avais fait pour mes tiges, qui est plus foncé, plus bleu. Fait que je vais utiliser les 3 pour faire mon gazon. Puis, je vais comme faire un peu d'un couleur, puis après ça, changer à l'autre. Puis, pour le gazon, on ne veut pas que ça soit trop raide, que ça soit trop étroit. Fait que moi, je fais comme de gauche à droite, je fais de droite à gauche, puis je laisse jouer le gazon un peu sur la toile, un petit peu partout. Mais une autre façon de le faire, c'est comme de choisir que il est venteux ce jour-là, puis tout mon gazon va aller dans la direction gauche ou dans la direction droite. C'est vraiment à vous de choisir la façon de le faire. Mais c'est le fun de jouer avec. On veut juste pas trop cacher nos tiges de fleurs. You just don't want to hide your flower stems, you know? I mean, you can hide the base of them for sure, but you don't want to hide the tops of them. OK? On veut pas cacher nos tiges de fleurs. On peut cacher les tiges à la base, mais on veut pas cacher comme le haut où ils terminent. Fait que ça donne quelque chose à peu près comme ça. So, you know, I did some grass. I could have gone thicker. I could have done more. I could have done less, but I like to just sort of have about that much there. It kind of hides the line of the ground a little bit, but you can still kind of see it through the grass. You don't have to wash your paintbrush after you're finished your grass because we're going to go back in with basically like the same colors. So you can just wait it out. So Diane Hébert couldn't be here with us today, but she's going to watch the recording. So we're recording for her and for Joanne Guthrie. And there's a couple of others who are going to be watching afterwards. So for all of you, yes, very nice, Jolene. For all of those who aren't here today and who are going to be watching afterwards, if ever you have any questions, and even for those of you who are watching today, if ever you have any questions afterwards, you can always email me. Very nice, Astrid. Very nice. OK, fait que pour ceux qui sont pas là aujourd'hui, et même pour ceux qui sont là aujourd'hui, si jamais vous avez des questions après le cours, vous pouvez toujours me contacter par email puis me demander. Puis si c'est une question sur votre toile, peut-être de m'envoyer une photo pour que je puisse la voir puis bien répondre à votre question. How you doing, Peggy? How you doing with your grass?
So didn't go so well, but it's okay.
Can I help if you want to show? I mean,
No, I think I could do better if I started over again, but once you've sort of, I needed a smaller brush than I had to get it to look the way I wanted.
Okay, so what you can do with that, if you feel like your grass is like too thick and it doesn't look like thin enough, a way to deal with that is to take your paintbrush. There's two ways to use your paintbrush when you're using a flat brush. You can use it on the flat side, which gives you a bit of a thicker line, or you can use it on like the edge side, which gives you a thinner line.
Yeah.
See? So the idea is if you find that your grass is too thick and you don't have that sort of wispy look at the top, just take your smaller brush and do a few wisps at the top of it, and it might help. Like it'll look bushy at the bottom, but you'll get a few wisps at the top. Just okay. If you don't want to restart, or even if you're going to restart after, just to practice it before you restart.
It's a learning experience. It would be
100% it is. It's a learning experience for me, and I've been doing this for years.
It would be better the next time.
It always is. Yeah, all the canvases that I use, they've been like, when you cover a canvas, you cover it with what's called gesso, which is basically like thick white paint. It's like primer. And you should see how many layers of gesso I have on some of my canvases. It's like this much thicker than it started out, you know? So, and it's always a learning experience. I swear, like, I mean, we have our restaurants, but the other part of my income comes from teaching and also from painting. I do a lot of painting commissions, like private commissions for people who ask me to paint certain things or whatever. And every single time that I do a painting, I learn. So nobody ever has like got it all figured out, you know, so don't worry about that.
Would you ever be able to show us some of your other artwork?
Oh, sure.
Love to see.
If what could I do? I can email you pictures of it.
Oh, great.
If anybody's interested in seeing any of my artwork, you can always send me an email and I'll send you some images.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, so now we've got our grass done, we've got our stems done. What we're gonna do, if you've lost some of your stems for your flowers, we're going to go back and find them. So maybe if you have to bring them up a little bit further, or if you just have to retrace them, now's the time to do that. And we're also going to add a little bit of leaves on our flower stems to show the difference between the flower stems and the grass blades, okay? So là, la prochaine étape, qu'est-ce qu'on va faire? C'est qu'on va aller retrouver nos tiges de fleurs. Fait que si on les a perdues un peu dans le gazon, on va aller les retracer, peut-être un petit peu plus foncé qui était avant pour être capable de voir où exactement sont les fleurs. Puis l'autre chose qu'on va faire, c'est que sur les tiges de fleurs, on va faire une coupe de feuilles juste pour être capable de voir la différence entre une tige de fleurs puis I don't know how you say a blade, like un morceau de gazon. How would you say blade of grass?
A blade of grass would be peut-être une tige de gazon, je sais pas.
OK, fait qu'on va voir la différence entre les tiges de fleurs et les tiges de gazon. So, je vais les retracer pour une coupe. Puis là, que je sais où est-ce que j'ai mis toutes mes tiges de fleurs, là, je vais aller faire un peu de feuilles. Excuse-moi. So, pour les feuilles, c'est vraiment juste de faire une coupe de petites feuilles. Ou on peut faire de plus gros feuilles si on veut. You can do bigger leaves if you want. The way that I do my leaves is I do sort of, I'll show you here. I do sort of one, it's almost like a semicircle. And then I do another kind of semicircle that meets it from top to bottom. See, like that. And then I fill it in. It almost like looks like the shape of a piece of like orzo pasta or the shape of a piece of like rice. You know, there's a point at the top, there's a point at the bottom, and then it arcs out in the middle. OK? Fait que quand je fais mes feuilles, c'est un petit peu comme un morceau de orzo, comme tu sais, les petits pâtes, ou comme un morceau de riz. Il y a un point sur le top, il y a un point sur le bas, puis ça élargit dans le milieu. Mais heureusement, il y a des feuilles de toute variété, puis de toute grandeur, puis de toute shape. Fait que tu peux pas les mal faire, vraiment. T'sais, on peut vraiment juste faire des petites lignes aussi, comme si on veut juste faire des petites lignes, il y a des feuilles qui sont comme ça aussi. C'est juste de jouer avec. Puis c'est le fun de faire une variété aussi. OK, fait que c'est ça que ça donne après avoir fait les petits feuilles. So after you've done your little leaves, and you see, I did mine kind of all in different shapes and sizes. Some I just did like little lines. Some I did the leaf that I explained to you that was like pointed on the top and pointed at the base, and then just arced out a little bit. You could even do just little dots. Like the good thing about flowers is that there's leaves in all different shapes and sizes and forms. So you can't really go wrong with whatever you do. The idea is just to differentiate the flower stem and the blade of grass so that the flower stems stick out. Now I'm going to mix my color for my flowers. I'm going to do 2 different colors. I'll do some that are like an orange and some that are, what else? I'll do orange and purple. No. I'll do orange and pink. But I'm going to do a darker pink. So I'm gonna mix myself an orange, which is red and yellow. And then I'm gonna mix myself a second orange of red and yellow, but I'm gonna add some white. So it's gonna end up being like a kind of peach. Okay. Ah, Micheline a son petit chat. Now, again, when it comes to flowers, they come in all different shapes and sizes and colors. So now you're gonna decide how you want to do your flowers, you know? So what I showed here, they're kind of like little flat clouds, you know? The way that we've done clouds in the past, we do little dabs with our paint brushes. But if you feel like you want to do more like a daisy type flower or something that's petaled with flat petals, the way that I explained the way that I do the leaves, where it's pointed on one end, pointed on the other end, and then it arcs out, that's a way to do a flower petal as well. And then there's also, you know, you can do what kind of looks more like a tulip, which would be petals going from the base upwards. So I'm going to show a few different ways to do flowers here. So the flowers that I showed in this example, you're going to take your small brush and you're going to kind of dab and do a little bit of like a cloud on the top of your flower. So you don't want any like perfect shapes going on here, you know? Like that's basically like I just dabbed and did like a little cloud on the top of that flower. But then you also have the option of doing something that looks a little bit more like a, you know, tulip style or like, you know, buttercup style. Where you have, you see, I just did that where I go from the base, it's pointed, I go out and up, and then you're gonna do that 3 times. So I'm gonna do it on this side. See, so I did one on one side, like that, and then I did one on the other side, like that, and then you do one in the middle and paint it in. So you end up looking like you have these like 3 points at the top of your flower. Now I did this flower a little bit big. Like I find that this is a little bit of a big head for this stem, but I wanted it to be big enough for you to be able to see it. And then there's also the option of really just doing like a puff ball. So you're really just dabbing a little bit all over the place. You know, because there are some flowers that are puffy like this. Right? It's like more of a puff ball like that. You know, that would be sort of more like marigold style, you know, how marigolds have like all those little frilly leaves. So that would be kind of what you're going for there. And then you could also go for something that's more like a cone flower, you know, which would have a ball in the middle. Which would have a ball in the middle and then those little leaves that go down. There's so many different things that you can do. I'm gonna do a few more like this. So I'm going to do a variety of them here just to fill everything in. Don't forget your flowers at the bottom. So you see, I'm going with a red first, and then I'm going to go with my pink or light orange on top. So it's a good idea that when you're doing the flowers, whatever layer you're putting on right now, we're going to do a second layer that's just a little bit lighter than that, just to give it a little bit of depth and to give it a little bit more pop on the canvas. You know, like I said, you're not going for like absolutely perfect looking flowers here. You're going for kind of like, it looks kind of like folk art, this kind of painting, you know what I mean? It has that kind of folky feel to it. OK, fait qu'avec tous les fleurs, c'est pas comme on essaie d'être complètement parfait avec la façon qu'on fait nos fleurs, tu sais. Il y a plein de différentes façons de faire les fleurs. Il y a plein de différentes façons, plein de différentes couleurs qui, quand on les voit, les fleurs dans la nature, là, c'est comme, ils sont toutes différents. Moi, je vois des fleurs tout le temps que j'ai comme jamais vues dans ma vie. Particulièrement quand on habite comme près de la nature, tu sais, on marche tout le temps puis on voit toujours des nouvelles fleurs. Fait que on n'a pas besoin d'être parfait avec qu'est-ce qu'on fait, mais je vous suggère, c'est la façon, moi je fais toutes mes fleurs maintenant en rouge. Puis ça va être la première couche, puis je vais faire une deuxième couche avec ou du rose, fait que je vais mélanger du rouge avec du blanc, juste pour faire une deuxième couche pour que ça pop un petit peu plus. Et je vais faire une coupe aussi avec un orange. Fait que ça va être rouge, jaune et un petit peu de blanc là-dedans. Même si on fait des couleurs plus foncées par-dessus un ciel plus pâle, on va quand même juste rajouter un tout petit peu de blanc, juste pour que c'est plus opaque. Parce que quand c'est une couleur directe, puis il n'y a pas de blanc là-dedans, c'est plus transparent comme couleur. Fait que même si on ne veut pas faire une couleur pâle, avec juste un tout petit peu de blanc là-dedans, ça va le rendre plus opaque, plus visqueuse et moins transparent. So right away, also, if you did one of the flowers, like you did it like this style of like a cone flower, your middle ball is going to be a different color than your leaves. So I'm going to go and put some yellow on top of that. So you can see the middle of the cone flower a little bit different. Sorry, there you go. Okay. And now I'm going to go and add my second layer of color. So I'm going to make myself a pink here. Je vais faire un rose. Puis je vais faire les tulipes. Le style tulipe que j'ai fait, je vais faire ça avec le rose. Fait qu'on peut voir, c'est pas comme c'est comme beaucoup plus pâle que c'était avant. C'est juste une deuxième couche. Puis si on regarde très proche, ici, on peut voir, we can see the first layer is dark. You can see the green coming through it. Now, I'm not going a lot lighter than I did before. It's still going to be like a colorful flower. It's not going to be pastel by any means, but this is going to make it less transparent. Now I'm going to go do a few flowers in that light orange, or not necessarily medium orange with a little bit of white in it. And I'm going to do the flowers that I did. So these ones with the little like flat clouds. There. And I'll do my cone flower in that orange as well. And then just to show you a third option, I'm going to do a third color. So I'll do a purple. So I'll take some white with some red and some blue. OK, fait que juste pour vous montrer une troisième option, je vais faire un mauve. Fait que je vais faire du rouge, du bleu et un peu de blanc. Puis je vais faire ça pour les fleurs que j'ai faites comme des petits boules, tu sais. Puis c'est pas que je veux couvrir le rouge avec le mauve. Je veux qu'ils se mélangent ensemble parce que ça va me donner plus de variété de couleurs. Puis ça va me donner une concentration de couleurs qui est belle. Fait que j'ai 3 couleurs de fleurs différentes ici. Et j'ai des différentes variétés. Now, I know that was a lot to take in for the flowers, the different ways to do it, but you don't have to do all of them. I just wanted to give you options of what, you know, because one may be easier for one person and another may be easier for another person, or you have a preference, or you want to try one this time, but you maybe want to try another one another time when you're painting on your own. So I just really wanted to give you options to do. Je sais que ça c'était beaucoup comme à voir comme les différentes sortes de fleurs que j'ai faites, mais je ne veux pas vous stresser en disant qu'il faut les tout faire. Je voulais juste vous donner des options. Et comme j'ai dit, comme peut-être il y en a un qui vous tente plus qu'un autre à essayer. Peut-être qu'il y a un comme que vous préférez plus qu'un autre, ou vous allez essayer de faire un ou deux sur cette toile ici, mais peut-être une autre fois, quand vous faites la peinture chez vous, comme juste pour pratiquer, vous voulez essayer un autre. Fait que comme ça, puis si on a l'enregistrement aujourd'hui qui va vous être envoyé, je m'excuse, vous pouvez retourner dans le cours, voir OK, elle a fait ça comme ça, cette fois-ci, je vais l'essayer comme ça. So, c'est vraiment juste de vous donner des options, de vous donner des exemples, puis de les démontrer pour vous. So, puis avec les différentes couleurs, tu sais. Fait que si jamais... Oh, beautiful! Little white flowers. Very nice, Shalane.
I threw in a few little pink as well for a little bit of.
Oh yes, nice little light pink too. I see it.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you see everyone's doing, I can see everyone's working really hard on their flowers. But that's the fun of it. If you don't let yourself get stressed out and you take your time to do it, you know, just because this class is 2 hours long doesn't mean that once the class is over, your painting's done. You know, you can always go back. Me personally, when I paint, I never do more than 2 hours at a time. Like even if if I'm starting a big painting or whatever, and I know that I have 25 hours of work on this painting, I'm never going to let myself do more than 2 hours, do more than a 2 hour block a day, because I find that you get lost in it a little bit. So it's good to do a block of painting, walk away from it, put it somewhere in your house where you walk by it a few times a day, and maybe something will catch your eye, you know, and so then you can go back and fix a little something here or there if something jumps out at you.
I just sort of filled in a little bit more around the stems. I thought it might sort of blend in a bit better. I don't know.
Yeah, it's nice to do that with some contrast. And you know, yours, because it's very dark, and I mean, everybody's anyway, we're going to be doing the little baby flower buds at the bottom here. So for those of you who think that it got, that yours is dark, you're going to want to go light with the little flower buds here. And for those of you that you find that it's really light, you can go darker with the flower buds here to kind of ground it a little bit. Okay, fait pour la prochaine étape, on va, je sais que pas tout le monde a terminé leurs fleurs encore, mais juste pour vous donner une idée, on va faire ici le petit début des fleurs, les bébés fleurs ici en bas. Puis si vous trouvez que ici où vous avez fait votre gazon, c'est rendu comme super foncé, puis il faut le polir un peu, bon, on va faire des petits bébés fleurs ou en blanc ou en jaune pâle ou rose pâle, une couleur qui est très pâle. Puis si vous trouvez que mon gazon il est vraiment pâle, comme on dirait que tout est en train de flotter dans les airs, là, on va faire des petits des petits points, des bébés fleurs qui sont plus foncés, ou même si vous voulez faire comme des petits points dans un vert très foncé ou un bleu très foncé pour atterrir vos fleurs, pour le rendre un petit peu plus foncé en bas. Ça fait un effet de grounding, ça amène tout par en bas un petit peu. C'est comme du gravité. So I find that my bottom here is kind of dark. So I'm going to do light yellow for my little points on the bottom. Moi, je trouve que c'est un peu foncé en bas ici. Et moi, je vais faire des petits fleurs dans un jaune pâle. Fait que je vais prendre mon petit pinceau. Je vais me mélanger encore un jaune pâle. Does anybody else want to show me their flowers? Very nice, Astrid. Very nice. So you did a variety of different flowers as well. So je vais faire juste des petits points de jaune en bas ici. C'est comme des bébés fleurs. Et tu sais, on a des fleurs qui montent, puis on a des fleurs qui restent à terre, what we would call like ground cover.
Yeah.
This is kind of your ground cover look that you're adding in here. Are any of you big into gardening? Est-ce qu'il y en a parmi vous qui aiment vraiment faire travailler dans leur jardin?
Well, I like to have a garden, but it's hard to do all the weeding and everything. So,
Oh my God, yeah, for sure.
but I love the gardens.
It's hard to have a garden up north too because we have all kinds of little friends that like to eat certain things, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In the
tried-
suburbs, that happens too.
In the suburbs it happens, but I find it happens, there's different critters up here than there are in the city. And they eat different things.
It's the rabbits here that just go crazy.
And the deer, you know, in the city, my mom, like I told you, my mom bought a house up here. So and she has a big garden. So she wants to transplant a bunch of things from her garden in the city to up here. So she was talking about, my mom has a lot of hostas, and she was talking about bringing hostas. And I was like, don't bring your hostas up here because they're just going to get eaten. The two things that I find get eaten the worst up here are hostas and tulips. And I used to have, when my husband and I got married, our bonbonniere that we gave were tulip bulbs because
That's nice.
I wanted to do something that people could, we thought about giving a little tree to plant, but you know, trees can get big. So, and some people don't have like land and stuff, you know? So I thought that tulip bulbs would be nice because it's something that you could plant, even if it's in a big planter that you could have on your patio or on your balcony, even if you live in a condo or whatever. I thought that would be nice because it's something that keeps coming back. So I had a bunch left over from the bonbonnières, and I planted a bunch at my place in Kirkland in the city. And when we moved to Tremblant, I tried to transplant all of my tulips. Well, it was like the first spring, I was so excited to see them start coming up. And then right before all the heads bloomed, they got cut off by something. So that was my lesson on tulips in the country.
I read somewhere this year that I'm going to try it, but because I have a lot of hostas that get beautiful at the beginning, and apparently sliced cucumbers in a dish underneath. I'll try it, and apparently those slugs and things don't like the cucumbers.
Huh.
So we'll try it. I don't know whether something else will come and eat the cucumbers, but so far, no. So we'll see.
I find companion planting works a lot too with when you plant marigolds with stuff up here. The deer and the rabbits really don't like the marigolds. I find them very effective for a lot of things.
You can also buy, it's a spray that you can put on some of your flour for the deer, against the deer, that they don't. And the thing is, you got to be careful though when you're spraying it on to not be spraying it onto you because it smells terrible.
Oh, yeah.
You can buy it at the co-op, but it's special, to, you know, so that the deer are not tempted to come and,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
see? Tricks of the trade.
yeah.
OK, Micheline, ça va bien avec vos fleurs? Oui? Ah oui! Super! They're like puppies.
Yeah, poppies, yeah.
Very nice. Peggy, how you doing with your flowers?
Well, the flower tops came out really well. The rest of it didn't.
Well, there you go. You found the positive in it and you'll work on the grass after, right?
Yeah.
Joanne Pepin, est-ce que tu es encore là? Est-ce que ça va bien? Non, pas de réponse. And Astrid, we saw your flowers. So, Micheline, for your poppies. And those of you who've done flat flowers in the kind of poppy style, you're going to want to take your small paintbrush and go into the black and do a little black dot in the middle of your flowers to center it. Because we know that those poppies have that famous black middle. And even if you did sort of like a daisy style, you're going to want to put a black middle in there too. You see?
Yeah. I better put some black.
You can even do it if you did like a tulip style right in the middle. Like that. See, if you did like a tulip style, you can do it like in the middle like that to kind of show that there's a break in between the leaves. Et fait que si vous avez fait le style des poppies ou des Marguerite is daisy, yes.
Yeah.
On peut faire le petit centre en noir. Même pour les tulipes ici, on peut faire le petit centre en noir juste pour montrer qu'il y a une séparation entre les pétales. Puis, si jamais vous trouvez que vous voulez un petit peu de reflet sur vos fleurs, que particulièrement pour les boules de fleurs ici, on peut aller juste avec un tout petit peu de blanc, juste pour faire une coupe de reflet sur la fleur. OK, on voit ici. J'ai fait juste un peu de reflet sur les fleurs en boule. So for the like the puffball flowers type thing, if you want to go in, just because, you know, if you're doing like a ball flower, it's sometimes you kind of feel like it just like you can't see the texture anymore. So if you want to go back in there with just a little bit of white and just do a little bit of highlights, it'll make it easier to kind of see the texture of the flower. You see?
Yeah.
And if you did that with white and you feel like your white flowers are looking like too like dense, like they're just looking like white balls, then you can always take some white with a little bit of color, whether it be pink or purple or whatever, and go and do the exact same thing to give it a little bit more texture by adding some darker parts on the flower. have one last step. This step doesn't even really necessarily make sense for the painting. I mean, it does visually, but so the little yellow balls, the little yellow dots that I did at the bottom, I find that they frame the painting at the bottom. So what I liked to do at the top, and it kind of just like it frames it and makes it look kind of like really folk arty, is that I did these same kind of dots in white at the top. They don't show very much, but it gives like a, I don't know, it really, like I said, it really frames the painting. So it's not necessary. You don't have to do it. But if you did do little dots at the bottom, then it's kind of fun to do them at the top. You see here, I did them in like a light blue. You can also do them in like a light yellow or even just in a white, just to add some texture to the sky a little bit. Or you can even, you know, if you don't want to do the little dots like that, you can even kind of do it like just like a little cloud in the sky. So I'm gonna do that with just some white. Maybe mixed with a tiny bit of blue. OK, fait que pour la dernière étape, puis c'est pas nécessaire, t'as pas besoin de le faire, mais moi je trouve, parce qu'il y a beaucoup de texture dans le moitié bas de la peinture, je trouvais qu'il manquait quelque chose niveau texture en haut. Fait que moi, tu sais, j'avais fait des petits points, des petites fleurs en jaune ici. Fait que dans ma tête, j'étais comme, je vais faire la même chose en haut, dans un bleu pâle ou dans un blanc. Puis, tu sais, ça peut être un peu comme, tu sais, comme, mettons, pour les pissenlits, quand ça part dans les airs, puis c'est blanc dans les airs, puis ça vole, un peu niveau comme ça. Mais aussi, si tu n'as pas envie de faire des petits points, on peut toujours juste rajouter un peu, like, de nuages. So, tu n'as pas besoin de faire rien si tu veux pas. Comme, si tu es satisfait avec ta toile sans rien dans le ciel, ben, il n'y a pas de trouble. On peut la laisser comme ça. So, if you're satisfied with the way that your painting is without any added texture in the sky, then by all means, leave it like that. But I just like the idea of the clouds, a little bit of cloud in the sky, mimicking
A few clouds.
Yeah, very nice. I like the idea of the clouds in the sky mimicking like the texture of the flowers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can do your clouds in like white or like light blue. And even if you're like what I just did, I just put clouds in front of my sun. So I felt like my clouds were looking like the same color as my sky background and that I was losing my sun a little bit too much. So I actually added in a little bit of light yellow into my clouds. The idea of the sun reflecting off the clouds, you know? Oops, and there you have it. Kind of shows up like that. You see, it's super subtle in the sky. Ça paraît pas beaucoup. C'est juste un petit détail qui donne la texture dans le ciel. Puis on dirait que la texture des nuages, ça imite, c'est comme une imitation de la texture des fleurs. Fait que je trouve que ça joue bien ensemble.
Ouais.
And yeah, Jolene, I think that you added your clouds in right at a perfect spot there where like the light meets the dark. It's a nice place to do it.
Thank you.
Micheline, est-ce que tu as réussi à rajouter les points noirs dans les fleurs? Oui, super. Super. Astrid, are you adding some clouds in or? Oh, very nice. And you did a little bit of outline on the flowers. Nice. It defines them more against the sky. Very nice. Peggy, will you add in some clouds?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so that's the end of the instruction. I'm going to stop recording now, but I won't hang up straight away.